Hi. So I'm back on the Central Coast, on the same stream that I was last year when I tested the Nomad. I've got a couple videos up fishing the stream. Last year the fishing wasn't that great. This year the water looks lower than it was last year, so we will see how things go. I'm going to be spending the night today. It's about 4:40. I'm getting out here much later than I had originally planned. I'm staying at an established campsite. Again, you'll recognize it from the Nomad video. I'm trying to figure out right now where I'm going to pitch my tent, and I'm thinking it's going to be between this bench and this rock. It looks like, it looks like these oak trees have shed some of their limbs, but I think there's a gap between this tree over here and this tree over here that might be somewhat safe, and hopefully the rock will offer me some protection. So it looks like what I'll do is I'll spend, I don't know, I think I'm going to spend about 30 minutes trying to get some firewood. I can have fires now. There's no fire restrictions anymore. And, the days are short. So I've got about 12 hours of light, which means I've got about 12 hours of dark, which means I've got, 12 hours where I'm not going to be doing much. So I'd kind of like to get a fire going for tonight so I can stay up for, at least maybe an hour past dark. Hang out a bit, and then if I have enough time, I'll put on a nymph and I'll do some fishing. In reality, I probably should be fishing now, but I think it'd be nice to have a fire. So I brought my dark timber cave bear, and so I'm going to break that out and put it to work. So as I said, I've got my my dark timber cave bear with me today. This is a sheath by Positive Made Leather Crafts, Dave Puzon. This is for my wilderness barong, but it does fit my my cave bear until Dave can make me a cave bear. He's going to be making a cave bear sheath that's very similar to this. I thought I brought my Kydex sheath with me, and I hadn't, so I'm not wearing a belt right now. It's gonna be a little bit awkward for me this weekend just because I'm not wearing my normal backpacking clothes. Because there's so many ticks in this area, I've got a set of clothes that I spray with permethrin, and I only wear them when I'm in tick infested areas. And unfortunately, they have an integral belt, but they don't have loops on them, so I'm not going to be able to carry the sheath as I would like. I'm going to have to try to figure something out. Maybe I'll work something out with some paracord, like a baldric carry with paracord, or actually I can just use paracord as a belt. Yeah, I'll just do that. Now it's about an hour and a half hike in here, so it's not so bad. The biggest hazard out here, other than these oak trees, is going to be the ticks. This place is just lousy with ticks. I might see some coyotes tonight, or might hear some coyotes tonight. Cougars are always a thing out here in California, but I don't think I'm gonna run into any of those. I don't think there are any bear here, but there are wild pig. I don't think I'm gonna have any problems with wild pig, so it should be probably an uneventful night. There's a little wood out here. I can cut that up. I can cut that up, and well, let's see what else we got here. Now I guess the other hazard that might be out here are rattlesnakes. Or I could just pick stuff off the ground. Yeah, let's start there. I got all this fallen timber here. It's probably a bit punky. It did rain last night, so I don't know. Might be a little difficult to find some dry wood. That's an interesting little hole there. Yeah, I'll pull some of this over to the campsite. See if I can work with it. A lot of this stuff is wet and punky. It's off the ground, so hopefully it's not as punky. Alrighty. Okay, I can chop that up. I can probably get some more off of that. That'll work. Yeah, that feels pretty dry inside, hopefully, even though the outside looks wet. I think that's enough for a small fire tonight. Time to put up my tent. One thing that I have with me today that I don't normally have is a ground cloth. Because it rained last night, and the ground doesn't really look that wet, but because it rained last night, I decided to bring a ground cloth. This is not the ground cloth for this tent. This is the ground cloth for my my REI chrysalis, but the chrysalis has a bigger footprint than this one, so I figure this will work fine. And it looks like for the second season I'm having problems with this Big Agnes tent. So I'm not sure what sort of material they're using in this elastic, but it's hard as a rock. So I'm gonna have to I think I'm gonna have to take off this end, pull it taut, and then put it back together. That's disappointing. I mean, this tent is, I don't know, 2-3 years old. This is the third season I'm using it, and this happened the first season. You may recall me going into the Emigrant Wilderness and then having to duct tape this thing together. I brought it home, I fixed it, and it looks like I'm back to square one. So this is very disappointing. Fortunately, I'm doing this early and not waiting till dark. I've got my my Leatherman with me, which I always carry the Skele-tool, so you know, it should be fairly easy for me to pop this off. That's good to know. If you ever have issues with these Big Agnes tents, this is a screw. It's not a pull, so that's helpful to know. So I opened it up, and it looks like it's got this adjustment knot here. So hopefully that's all it will take is me adjusting it. Boy, that's a lot of adjustment, though. That's a lot of adjustment that I'm going to have to do. If I was smart, I should probably cut this off and redo it. And that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I've got the end repaired. Frankly, I think I probably need another elastic And maybe I'll send them a note and ask them to send me one, because it's a little ridiculous to have to readjust it every year or every other year. I never had to do that with my REI tent, and I had my chrysalis. Geez, I don't know. I had my chrysalis for maybe 10 years. Not the prettiest job I've ever done, but given the space, I think it'll work fine. Okay, so it's getting dark. I'm guessing I've got maybe 30 minutes of light left. I'm going to quickly put on my gear and see if I can pick up some fish. Maybe fish 15 minutes, come back, start a fire. Here's one for all you pocket sheath guys. That's what I'm doing right now. Now, I'm not fishing my standard Hardy reel today. I've got this this old Martin MC, what is it, MC45? Yeah, old Martin MC45. Not the greatest reel, but it's got the double taper 4 trout line from Scientific Anglers on it, and I wanted to give it a shot. So it's been a while since I fished this line. Been wanting to fish a different line, so here we go. Okay, it's getting darker much faster than I anticipated. So I'm going to come down here, and as if I remember correctly, there's a deep hole right there by that rock. I'm going to throw a half a dozen casts in there and then come back and make a fire. Today I'm fishing my 8-foot 4-weight, again with that Scientific Anglers trout line. Right now I've got just a ratty leader on. I'm going to have to replace it tomorrow, but it's getting dark too fast to screw around with the leader. I might regret that if I hook a big fish. I've got a black version of my my beadhead soft hackle hare's ear on. This was probably tied with, well, this is either going to be seal fur or it's going to be squirrel. I tied a couple of both. I think that's enough for tonight. Hopefully I've got just enough light left to get that fire started. getting dark. Stuff's not quite as dry as I would have liked, but hopefully it lights up. And this oak was hard stuff, I'll tell you that. Okay, I think I need to cut another piece of oak. So I've got this nice little fire going, nothing too dramatic. It'll burn out fairly quickly, but you know, it'll go long enough for me to eat my dinner and hang out for a little bit. You know, I don't want a raging fire because I don't plan to be out here all night. Now, one of the reasons I brought this dark timber knife is because it's made from Nitro V, which is a stainless steel. And you can see, cutting through some of that wood, can you see? I hope you can see. You can see how wet it's gotten cutting through some of that wood. Now, even with a high carbon steel knife, right, that's not too much of a problem if you wipe it off immediately. But you know, it's nice to know that I'm not going to have to worry about it really rusting while I'm out here. I didn't really give much thought to what I was going to eat during this trip. I bought some salami yesterday specifically to bring with me, and of course I forgot it. But I did grab some Pop-Tarts and an egg on the way out of the house, so I guess that's dinner tonight. The coals that were in this fire ring were wet, so I laid down, split that piece of oak in half and laid it down. I brought some fat wood with me to make quick work of getting the fire started. I know it might disappoint some people that I didn't use my ferro rod, but you know, it's late and I wanted to get it going as quick as possible. So I've got a lighter, and you know, realistically that's how I plan to start a fire should I need to. Having a ferro rod is nice, but it really is, you know, sort of an emergency sort of a thing. I'm pretty happy with the way that the cave bear performed today. It did take me a little while to get to get fairly decent with it. But the last couple of logs I split, I was able to do fairly quickly. This oak out here is really tough, and I didn't have time to make myself a proper baton. But so far, the knife's performed fine with no visible damage anywhere. One thing that did happen is my lanyard broke. And I don't know if that's because the inside needs to be chamfered more, or if, you know, if I had it positioned in such a way that it was just creating some undue stress. So I'm not sure I'm going to make a fire tomorrow morning. We'll see how cold it is. It should be in the 30s tomorrow, so I probably will want to make a fire. In fact, maybe I should cut up some wood tonight so I can do that. But we'll see. We'll see if it breaks again. So it's about 8 o'clock, and I've cut some wood for tomorrow morning. Don't worry about it being so close to the fire. I'm going to make sure this fire is dead out before I go to bed. Now, when I say that I'm going to put this, that this fire is going to be dead out, what I mean by that is I douse the entire thing. I douse the entire thing with water, and then I stir it around. Make sure we don't have anything steaming like this one is. Basically make a soup, and this could probably do with a little more water, but you know it's out when you can put your hand over it and you're not feeling any heat. That piece needs a little more water, but then I'll be good to go. So it's about 8:30, and I'm getting ready for bed. I'm in the tent. Before I came in, I did a full tick check. You know, checked my clothes, checked my jacket, checked my hat. Don't see anything. I did find a small deer tick on the tent. As I said before, I'm wearing clothes that are that have been treated with permethrin, so hopefully that's enough of a repellent to keep them away from me, or at least off my clothes and off of my skin. I don't use DEET. DEET is great to use, but I have an allergic reaction, so I can't use it. But so far so good. I'm going to change into my silk underwear and get to sleep. See you in the morning. So I think it's about 7:30. Had a rather uneventful night last night. Didn't really sleep that well, strangely. I'm not quite sure why. I think I went to bed around 9 and ended up waking up around 1:30, and I've been sort of up since then. It got cold. Had to zip the sleeping bag up about 3/4 at about 1:30, and then fully at about 3, and then at 4 it dipped some more. So I'm guessing it's probably around 30 degrees out right now. Light. It's light. It's been light since about 6:30. The sun hasn't hit the canyon yet, as I recall. Probably won't hit the canyon probably until I think 9. But I'm gonna get up and start a fire. Not quite sure what I'm going to do with all my gear. I want to fish. I don't know if I'm going to leave my gear at camp. You know, we're not too far from the campground, and so you know it's pretty easy for somebody to hike in here and pilfer my gear if they wanted to. So I don't know if I'm going to carry it with me or try to stash it somewhere. I'll have to figure that out. I might just leave my tent up and leave some sort of sacrificial gear in the tent, and then take the stuff that's going to be harder to replace. I might just carry that with me in my pack. Maybe carry like 15 pounds in my pack or something. We'll see. Now I'm using a smaller platform this morning. Just because. No particular reason other than I want to see if I can do it. Okay, a little smaller pile than yesterday, but hopefully that'll do. Let's try the amber notch again. There we go. And for breakfast, we have eggs and Pop-Tarts. So I did have some camo survivor cord in my pack. So basically, and I typically carry about 6 feet. Basically, what I've done is I've just wrapped it into thirds, and then tied it around my waist with a square knot. So that should allow me to carry my my cave bear with no problems. Okay, it's just after 9, and it's time to start fishing. The sun is just now coming up into my my campsite. I'm going to leave my tent here. It's got minimal stuff in it. So I'm going to sight fish today. I'm not going to cast unless I see fish. Maybe at some of the deeper waters I'll do some prospecting. But I think I'm going to make fast work of this place today. Maybe I'll prospect on the other side of this rock. I mean, these are the kind of places where if they're going to be fish showing today, it's going to be in a place like this. Got those overhanging branches to worry about. I've crossed the creek. Haven't seen any fish yet. This is where I originally wanted to camp, out over here. So I figure I check it out for next time. Now there's a fallen limb over here that I started chopping on with the Nomad when I was here. Let's see if this is it. Yeah, this is it. This is me when I was doing my Nomad testing. Tell ya, this oak is hard stuff. Surprised I don't see any fire rings over here. Yeah, if I have enough time next time, come over here and... Is that a fire ring? Maybe. No, but you know, there are enough rocks that I could create a fire ring, or at least a temporary fire ring. Set up camp and break it all up when I leave. I'm gonna do a little prospecting in that run. I'm just not seeing anything. So I'm gonna fish up through this next run, and if I don't see anything, I'm gonna call it a day. Okay, this is the end of the line. Haven't caught a fish so far. This pool is usually good for one. I fished all the usual suspects and came up empty. So pretty much like last year, I fished for about an hour and a half. Haven't seen a fish, haven't caught any fish. The water is super low, just like it was last year. I don't know if that has to do with the fishing or not. Maybe the fish just aren't in here. Maybe they're further upstream. Who knows? Hopefully next year I can come in and really, really put my time in on the stream and really get to know it and really get to a point where I can fish and catch fish consistently. The first time I came in here, I did fairly well. The water was higher. These recent trips, this trip and the trips last year, didn't really catch anything of any size. So we'll see. Next year is another year, and hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for coming along. And back at camp. I doubt there's anywhere in the world you can go without finding some sort of trash. I'm gonna have to pack this out with me. I'm all packed up. I've left plenty of wood for the next adventures.